Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in the world. It's Kevin Dwyer, also known as Mr. One Step Back, with another live session where I want to give you a ton load of value and help you understand exactly how to overcome the current situation in terms of what you can do differently in your business to thrive and not just survive. So I'm going to give just another minute or so and allow some people to join the call. So first and foremost, how's your day been today? Has it been productive? Has it been busy? Or has it been busy and productive? Talk to me. Let me know how you're feeling. Are you feeling good? Have you been energized today? Have you been enjoying the sunshine? Have you been taking in the vitamin D that allows your body to feel good, that nourishes your mind and nourishes your health? Because as we all know, health is wealth. So how are you all feeling? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. So in today's live, I want to talk about how you go about recession-proofing your business. And I want to give you 4 tips today that will absolutely add to the ability of you being able to recession-proof your business. So first and foremost, I want to help you understand a couple of things. Did you know that more millionaires are created in a recession than in any other time during the economic situation? More millionaires are created during an economic downturn than they are at any other time in history. And why is this? Because there's certainly no coincidence. Why is this? Is it a money mindset? Is it because there's more opportunity out there? Is it the way certain people view things? What's stopping you from thriving in your current situation? And I know you might give me a number of current scenarios that are beyond your control: COVID, not being able to go outside, being restricted in what you can do, social distancing. These are all very good reasons as to why things aren't moving the way you'd like them to be. However, if you focus on things that are beyond your control, is that a good use or a negative use of your energy? Yeah, that was a rhetorical question. You really don't need to answer that because there is only one correct answer. Why focus on things that are outside of your control? You can't focus on things that are outside of your control because things that are outside of your control are simply that. That's just like worrying about a situation that you can't change. That is a pointless use of your energy. You cannot worry about things that you can't change. So once again, why are more millionaires created in an economic downturn than in any other time in history? It's because millionaires and people of an entrepreneurial spirit and people with a go-getter attitude, they think differently. They look at adversity as a chance for opportunity. Do they look at fear or do they look at fortune? Do they look at perish or do they look at prosper? Because I want you to understand, we live in a world of duality. So for every negative, there is an equal, if not more positive, powerful. Or sorry, there's an equal, if not more powerful, positive. It's simply a case of how you look at things and therefore what you deem to be important to you at that specific time in terms of where you allow your focus to go. You have to do what I call reframing. You have to look at your current situation and how can you change the angle? How can you move the frame and change the view so that you see a different perspective? Because as I said, if there are more millionaires created in the economic downturn, there is a simple reason that some people just look at things differently. If you have the view of the masses, you're going to have the same outcome as the masses. You have to be able to step outside the box. You have to think about things differently and see, okay, how can I use the current situation to my advantage? What can I do presently that's going to change my outcome? What are you driven by? So are you driven by fear and propaganda? looking at problems, or are you solution orientated? Are you going to look at the current situation and say, whatever the situation is, there has to be a solution? Because believe it or not, there is a solution to every negative situation out there. Okay, I'm going to give you some examples today. I'm going to give you one example in particular. Let's look at and think about personal trainers. So the vast majority of personal trainers, if at the beginning of the year, you said to them, within the next couple of months, everything is going to be locked down, all gyms are going to be shut, there's going to be no opportunity for you to train personal clients one-on-one, and therefore your personal training business will pretty much go down the drain, they would have told you they're crazy, especially the ones who have a thriving business. A couple of months into the year, that's exactly what happens. So as I said, using this particular example as personal trainers, how did they go about being able to recession-proof their business? Well, the first thing they did, they had to think outside the box. What can they do differently to ensure that their business survives? Immediately, they had to transition. Well, okay, if I can't do things physically face-to-face, how can I still deliver my service where my clients get huge value and huge benefit, but I don't have to be with them face-to-face? Wow, we have the internet. There's a possibility of video calling. Let me take my services online. Let me transition. Let me look at things from a different perspective where I can still connect. And in fact, this could actually be a new trend. People can operate with me from the comfort of their homes, still get to work with me very, very personally. And now, instead of me just acting one-to-one, I can now act one-to-many. So because of this negative situation, I can now potentially flourish. So what's that? They've simply looked at what the current situation is and how they can transition, how they can make a shift, how they can look at things differently, so how they can adapt and overcome, so how they can look at things from the current situation and identify a new trend. In every negative situation, there will be a way where you can adapt and overcome, where you can break the current situation, where you can identify the new trend, where you can look at, okay, what is possible in this situation that is going to provide me with a positive outcome in the current negative situation. I could be all doom and gloom and simply look at the negative situation we're currently in, or I could allow my mind to go to work and think about how can I actively find a positive to this current situation. And that's simply by shifting the frame, by looking at things differently. So I mentioned I'm going to give you 4 things that are going to allow you to make your business recession proof. So the first thing is look for the trend. In the current situation, where's the trend that's going to allow you to find an opportunity in what's happening? So I said, for example, with regards to personal trainers, the trend is quite simple. You can no longer act face-to-face. Businesses are blowing up online. The trend in this situation is Zoom or any other video conferencing platform, house party, or whatever, Skype maybe even. But there are a number of video, WhatsApp is another one that's blown up. But there are a number of video platforms that people are now utilizing to make that connection, to allow them to communicate with people, physically be in their homes, but without being close to them. So, as I said, what is being identified is what's the trends. You have to look for the trend. When you look and you identify the trend allows you to find an opportunity where previously it was none. Find an opportunity where a lot of people are only seeing negativity. The trend allows you to look for, how can I still deliver my business? How can I become valuable to people? How can I ensure that I still trade? How can I ensure that I still deliver value? By looking for the trend. And in this current negative situation, The trend is quite simple. The trend is that most people had now become very, very familiar with video conferencing, with video calling, with being able to communicate with people via the internet, through a camera, and put themselves in someone's home. So a personal trainer, now if they adapt to the current to the new current landscape, to what we now call the new norm, if they've adapted, they would have written a program that can be delivered online. They would have looked at, how can I approach my clients? How can I become front of mind when my clients are thinking about working out? What can I do to become ever present? And by doing that, they've now allowed themselves to transition to an online platform, to take their business from offline to online. So you have to look for the trend. You have to identify how you can utilize the current situation, how you can take the negative situation, turn that into a positive, and ride the wave, get on with the new trend. That's the first thing I was going to talk about in relation to what you can do to make your business recession proof. The second thing is you have to shift your personal mindset. When I say shift your personal mindset, I'm talking about how you think about things. As I mentioned, do you thrive on fear, or are you looking for fortune? Are you buying into the doom and gloom? So are you going to perish in this situation, or are you going to prosper? Are you adapting your mindset to become bulletproof so that the negativity in the outside world can no longer penetrate? You've made it your responsibility to take on board only positivity, anything that's going to uplift you, anything that's going to shift your mindset in the right direction. And you've decided to consistently invest in yourself, whether that be time or money. If you're investing in yourself with regards to time, to your mindset, what are you doing on a daily basis? Have you now adopted a morning routine that's consistent, where every single day you are making sure that you are delivering and you're doing exactly what you need to do to maintain the right attitude, to maintain the right sort of, to maintain an incredible start to your day? Are you doing what you need to do to make sure that you start your day in the best possible way? Because if you feed into yourself, if you ensure that you put positivity into your mind at the beginning of the day, that gives you the ultimate opportunity to make sure that you start your day in the right manner. When you start your day in the right manner, I can absolutely promise you, you're going to start to see more positive than you will negative. Do you meditate? Have you taken on board the principles behind meditation, that the fact that they allow you to slow your mind down? They allow you to become single-minded in your focus. Meditation allows you to align with your energy to ensure that you are now giving yourself the opportunity to produce a better outcome. Believe it or not, but I speak consistently around mindset, and mindset is the cornerstone of your success. So if you focus on your mind as to how can I do what's necessary to develop the right kind of mindset, that's going to make a huge shift from where you were to where you need to be. That's going to allow you to focus on producing a positive outcome in currently a very, very negative situation. So by shifting your mindset, by taking control, by being personally responsible for how you look at things, for how you think about things, by taking that as your prime objective, that you're going to make sure that you look at things in the right manner, that you look for solutions rather than be fixated and focused on problems, that's you taking responsibility for your mindset. So by shifting your personal mindset, you will align yourself with success. And by doing this, you will make your business recession proof, because you will be adopting the philosophies that successful people do. You'll be thinking about things from a different perspective. Number 3, in terms of how you make your business recession proof, you adapt and overcome. So you adapt to the current situation, you become chameleon-like, and you look for ways, how do I actually overcome? So once again, with the example of personal trainers, you can no longer work face-to-face. So they've simply adapted to the landscape. They've simply said, okay, what can I do to ensure that my business survives, my business thrives moving forward, that I do things differently in order to produce a different outcome? How can I adapt to the current landscape? So even though I cannot change what's currently happening, I can look for a solution that's going to allow me to start thinking differently. I can look for a solution that's going to allow me to provide a different outcome. And you might be thinking, but yeah, this is only personal training. I promise you, in every single business, there is a way to adapt and overcome. When you find the way to adapt, that then allows you to overcome the problem. But it's all about the way you think about things. It's all about the way you view things. It's all about whether or not you are solution orientated or whether you are problem fixated. So you have to adapt and overcome. These are very simple, very logical, very straightforward thought process I'm giving you. Nothing I'm telling you is revolutionary. However, you have to put these things into practice. You have to take on board, how can I make a change? What can I do to make a shift in order to make it happen? So you have to adapt and overcome in order to make sure you produce a different outcome. You find ultimately a different result. And as an entrepreneur, one of the ways you can adapt and overcome is by making sure you measure everything that you possibly can. Because what gets measured gets managed. You have to know your numbers. So let's say, for example, you are in a situation where you need to drive activity, you need to drive appointments in your business, and by driving appointments, that will allow you to get more people on the phone and therefore give you the opportunity to close more business. How can you make this happen? You have to increase your level of activity. So that's how you adapt. You say, okay, whereas previously I might have only had to make, 20 phone calls in order to get 1 or 2 people appointed. Now you might have to make 50 because a lot of people now might be in a scarcity mindset. However, if you increase the level of activity that you're putting in, if you increase your efforts, your output, the outcome has to change. Because regardless of the fact that more people are in a scarcity mindset, there are still people who are looking for an opportunity. And believe it or not, there are still, in fact, many people that want the services you're providing. So if you have to adapt to the current landscape and you have to increase your activity, you have to do more to produce the same outcome that you were producing previously, that's a simple outcome. That's a simple result of the current situation we're in. You have to therefore increase your activity. So you adapt to the current situation, and therefore that allows you to overcome because you can still move forward. So increase your activity in order to adapt and make change. Therefore, you produce a different result. And what's number 4? How can you make your offer irresistible? What can you put together that your clients will absolutely see, and whether or not the situation for them is bleak at the moment, they will absolutely see that this is too good to refuse. What I'm being offered here, I have to take advantage of because this opportunity might not come around again. So how is it that you can package everything that you're doing? How can you add more value to it? How can you ultimately make your offer more irresistible? What can you do that's going to drive interest, increase people wanting to invest in you, because what you've done, you've made your offer that irresistible that they can't refuse it? How can you stack value in your offer to the point where people can't refuse it? How can you make it a no-brainer for them? So what do you need to do in order to be able to change people's thoughts and perspectives on exactly how and why they need to move forward with your business offer? So it's quite simple. When you look at things from this perspective, when you take on board this thought process, you will ultimately find out that there are certain things that I can and I have to do in order to make my business recession proof. As I said, when you clearly look at the current situation and you change the way you're prepared to look at it and you look for a solution, that's only going to allow you to provide the answer that you need. How is it possible to make my business recession proof? So I want to run over those 4 tips once again, really quickly, just to allow you to understand that there are certain things that you have to, need to, and must do in order to make your business recession proof. So the first thing is you've got to look for the trend. You have to look at what's currently happening. Where's the market shifted and changed? What's the direction things are moving in? What's the trend that is currently being exploited? And how do I therefore get on the crest of that wave so I can ride it and make sure I produce the right outcome? So you have to look and you have to identify the trend. Once you look and you identify the trend, it's then going to become very, very simple for you to actually find out how you can exploit, find out how you can capitalize, find out how you can make a difference. The second thing, you have to shift your personal mindset. Your thoughts and your thinking is your responsibility. And as you know, as I mentioned to you previously, thoughts become feelings, become actions, become results. They actually become your output. So the way you think about things will ultimately lead into and create the result you produce. What are you doing on a daily basis to ensure that you've changed, to ensure that you've created the opportunity to start your day with a winning mentality, to ensure that ultimately I produce the right outcome here? So how can you change your personal perspective? How can you change your personal mindset to ensure that you are only allowing success to be your outcome? You've conditioned yourself that nothing else is acceptable. That is the only result you will accept. That is the only outcome you will allow yourself to accept. Therefore, it has to be the outcome that you produce. You create success in advance. How are you doing all these things to impact your personal mindset? Number 3 was to adapt and overcome. I gave you the example of personal trainers, whereby they couldn't or can't currently work face-to-face. What can they utilize? What can they take advantage of that's going to allow them to adapt to the current situation and overcome it? Well, clearly, we've got this huge opportunity that's in front of us, which is online, the internet. There are a number of platforms that are going to allow people to work virtually face-to-face, and that's through video conferencing, through platforms like Zoom, through House Party, through WhatsApp video. There are so many applications that you can utilize that allow you to get in front of your potential client. And if that's the way they have to do things in order to capitalize on the current situation, then guess what? That's what you have to do. So you have to adapt to your landscape. What is the new landscape? What is the new norm? If the new norm is I have to work virtually, then that's what you have to do, because you have to adapt and overcome. If you don't adapt to your current environment, your current situation, you shall perish. It's simple fundamentals. If you don't change, you'll become extinct. There are some huge companies that over times, when things have been changing, they haven't adapted to the new circumstances. They haven't adapted to the new environment. For example, I'm not sure whether you guys are, I'm pretty certain you guys will have, well, I can give you guys 2 great examples. Blockbusters was one in the UK. Toys R Us, which was a global company. Toys R Us became extinct. Why is that? Because they didn't change their business model. They didn't adapt to the new environment. They didn't jump on bandwagon, which was the internet. Therefore, they became extinct. So you have to adapt. Therefore, that's the only way that's going to allow you to overcome. So that was number 3. And point 4, in terms of how you make your business recession proof, how can you make your offer irresistible? How can you package, how can you stack your offer so that even in these times where people are talking about economic hardship, your offer is so irresistible that they have to invest, that they've got no choice but to still give you their money, invest in your process, invest in either your program or your service, and work with you, regardless of the current times. If more millionaires are created in an economic downturn, there is simply a reason behind that. And the only basic reason is that people look at things differently. They look at opportunity rather than adversity. So how can you stack your offer to make it so irresistible that your clients still invest with you? These are 4 tips I wanted to give you that will absolutely make your business recession proof. Number 1, look for the trend. Number 2, shift your personal mindset. Number 3, adapt and overcome. And number 4, how can you make your offer absolutely irresistible? Give me a yes in the chat box. Give me a thumbs up if what I'm saying to you is resonating, if what I'm saying to you is landing, if the information I'm giving you makes perfect sense. Some of it you may have thought about it, but I'm sure a lot of it you haven't thought about. Start thinking about things differently. Start looking at things from a different perspective. Start understanding that it's your responsibility to change your thought process to ensure that your business survives. So once again, today was 4 tips on how you can make your business recession proof. I want to leave you with a simple fact. I want to help you understand and remember that all can and will be achieved one step at a time. I'm committed to delivering value for you here. The question I would ask is, how committed are you to yourself? On that note, Mr. One Step, I'm signing out. I'm looking forward to seeing you back here on Thursday with another live with me, where I'm going to be dropping a ton of value. So on that note, have an incredible day. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Take care, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.